Hi everyone, Heather here from Felt Mercantile, and we are back for day 23 of our DIY Advent Calendar series. If you haven't checked out those other videos, be sure to check the link above and catch up. What are you doing? Catch up on the series. So today we are going to be making a small felt gift box, and this will be the largest size you will be able to get out of a 9 by 12 sheet of felt. I do suggest using a bit of a thicker felt. It does help with the construction of this box, but if you want to be making something larger than this, then you're going to have to be buying larger pieces of felt. So I will show you what you'll be needing for materials. So for the bottom of our box, you are going to be needing this plus sign here, which is just a 9 by 9 square with the corners cut out. And I like to reinforce it with this little 3 by 3 square here, which we'll be sewing on the middle. And then I've also got red pieces. Let me show you the top here. So you'll be using these 3 sizes of red pieces just for the ribbon on the box. And we'll also be needing another square for the top, which is just slightly bigger in the middle than the other one, and another piece for reinforcement. So this gift box here, you can put really anything on top to decorate it. Do it any color you'd like, but I am going to be doing a poinsettia tutorial just to, you know, if people who just want to learn how to make a poinsettia, they can watch this video as well. So for my poinsettia, I am using this tiny little drop shape here. You'll be needing 8 of these. You can add more if you'd like, but I think 6 or 8 is probably the least amount that you want to be using. And then also of the red, we'll be needing this tiny little circle. Then for green felt for our leaves, you'll be needing a slightly larger of the dark green and a larger dark green circle, and you'll need 6 of these guys. So we will be using our green thread, our red thread, our white thread, and then today's project, I did have a request to do more embroidery, which is not my favorite thing if you've been watching the previous videos, but I will oblige and we'll do a bit of embroidery today. So for this project, I'm going to use just a light green and a light yellow for our poinsettia. Then you will be needing your needle and no polyfill today, so I think that's about it. So let me just get set up and we will start our project. So I think I will start with the poinsettia. So for our red little pieces, just get your red thread on there, and we're just going to be folding this piece in half and just doing a bit of a whip stitch, probably about 1/3 of the way up. So if you haven't been watching these videos and you don't know what a whip stitch is, it is in through the bottom, out through the top, in through the bottom, out through the top. And really that's all we want to do, just a couple little stitches on each little shape. And then to tie off, start your whip stitch, make a loop, 3 little loops around that loop, and give her a pull. So you can just cut off your excess thread, and I've already gone ahead and done that for all the other pieces. So you just want them looking like this. It just gives it a little bit of extra shape, and we will be doing the same with our green, but you'll want to be going about halfway up with the green thread, and I've already gone ahead and made those as well. So once you catch up, we will go ahead and start assembling our poinsettia. All right, I'll see you in a second. All right, now that we've got all little 8 pieces done, I am just going to be taking my red thread here, and you're just going to go about assembling this by kind of attaching the pieces together. I'm going to do 4 on the bottom and 4 on the top. So you can just come in from the bottom of one, attach it to the other, and then maybe do another one of those stitches just in the center of one piece and down through the center of the other piece. And then don't worry if you have these large stitches here, we're going to be covering them up. So just take another one and do the same thing. In through the bottom and down through the top of the one next to it. And just give it another one of those for reinforcement. So you can use this poinsettia as a decoration, or I mean, you can put it on a hair clip. You can really do whatever you want with it. But this one here, we're just going to be making for the top of our box. So then the last one here, in through the top and down through the center of the one next to it, just to attach them all nicely together. And it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up because, I mean, poinsettias aren't perfectly lined up. So just do the best that you can and it will end up turning out beautiful, I promise. So we've got our 4 there. And then we're just going to come in between the others and come in through the bottom. Oops. And I'm going to go down through the top of the same one. And then we will do the same thing all the way around. And last one here, in through the bottom and down through the top. Now you can just make a couple more stitches just to reinforce this any way you'd like. I am going to do that, and when I come back in a moment, I promise it will look more like a flower. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, after much sewing into submission, we have more of a flower shape going on here. You can see I've done a lot of reinforcing stitches, but that's all right because we're going to be hiding them. So I think I'm going to do the embroidery next. Now it is a super tiny, finicky little piece. Normally when people are embroidering, they've got hoops, but I don't have a hoop this small. So I'm going to get reset up so I can show you how to do it up close, and then we can continue on in this project. All right, I'll see you in a moment. All right, so for embroidery, this is going to be a tricky little piece of this project. You can skip this entirely if you want, or I just like to add little details. And I'm going to be using 2 different colors of embroidery thread, but you don't have to do that either. So we're going to be doing French knots just around the outside first, just leaving a tiny little bit so that we can sew this onto our final piece. But I'll show you how to do the knots. I'm going to be coming up through the center of these green knots with the light yellow, so you don't want to do it too tight, but I'll show you how to make a couple of these and then I will come back. So you want to hold your thread tight, wrap around 2 times, back through the hole you started with, while maintaining your hold on this thread. Normally you'd be able to use a hoop, but this is a very tiny little piece. So we will just try our best with what we are doing here. So when you're about here, you can let go. Remember to pull it slow because you don't want it to bunch up. You can help it. And like I said, loose French knots here, so that one was a little bit loose, but the green ones aren't that big of a deal because we're going to be coming in with the yellow. So I'll show you one more time, up through the bottom, hold your thread around twice, back down through the hole that you made, and pull that through slowly. When you get to about here, you can let go and finish that off. So I'm just going to do the green all the way around and in the inside as well, just making it look as full as you want, and I'll come back in a moment to show you how we'll do the yellow. Alright, so I've finished doing all the green little French knots, and I know it is a lot of work, but I definitely like the little extra details on things, so You can follow along with me, or if you want, you can just do the yellow. You can also use beads or something if you don't feel like doing all this little extra detail. But it is going to get a little bit more difficult from here on out because there are stitches on the back that we're working through as well. So just be mindful of those stitches and try not to get too caught up. So what I will be doing with our light yellow is I'm just going to be coming through the center, or as close to the center as possible, of one of our little green French knots, and just doing another French knot on top. So hold your thread and your piece, wrap around twice, go right back through. Whoa, sorry, let's try that again. Wrap around twice. See, it's really tiny, and I'm sure you know if you've been following along. So right back through the center, then maintain that tension. You can always use a smaller needle too if you find you're getting caught, but I'm just using this big one just so you can see the project that we're doing. So there we go. So we're just going to be making yellow French knots on top of all the little green French knots. And you can do some in between, or if you don't want to do them in the center, you can just fill in all this red space around here with green. But I will be back in a moment to show you the finished piece. And hopefully that will convince you, if you haven't started this yet, that it is definitely worth all the little extra details, because this is a hard but fun project. Alright, so I'll see you in a second, guys. Okay, we are done sewing all of those little knots. Yeah, I mean, it turned out quite well. I am happy with it. Now we can just place it on top of our flower, and we are going to do a running stitch around the edge of this little circle into our flower, just to attach that on. So I am going to get set up, and I will show you the next part of the project after I've sewn this little circle on here. So sorry, running stitch is just in through the bottom, just catching this little edge here, and then we're going to go down through the top, pull it out the bottom, and up through the bottom, and then down through the top, all the way around, and just tie off on the bottom. Alright, I'll see you in a second, guys. So I've just laid my leaves out the way that I want them. So we're going to try and just flip this over here carefully. There we go. So I've just placed them on the back here. I'm going to sew them directly to the bottom of this piece with my green thread. So each one, just give it a stitch into the piece, and we're going to be finishing it off on the bottom if you are going to be using this as a decoration, so you don't have to worry about all of our ugly stitches. So yeah, just go around with each one and just sew that on to the bottom. So I'm going to come back in a second when we're done that, because this is going to get real messy here with all my pieces on there. So that's all we want to do, and then you can move on to the next one. Just sew it onto the bottom of the piece. Alright, I will see you in a moment. Okay, we have a poinsettia, so the back should be looking something like this, and you can always go ahead and shape them a bit later on, but now we're going to be attaching this piece to the outside just to make everything look clean. So you're going to just be doing a whip stitch on the edge, just in through the bottom of the piece that we've already sewn, to the edge of the circle, and just do that all the way around. And I will come back in a moment to show you the finished piece. See you in a second, guys. Alrighty, we are finished our poinsettia. It should be looking something like that, and we've hidden all our ugly stitches in the back there. So like I was saying, you can use this as an ornament on your tree, just attach a little string. You could use it as a headband for your kids, just to attach it, really anything you want. But for this project, we're going to be using it for our little box. I am not going to be attaching it to the top of my box because I kind of want to use mine as a Christmas decoration. So, but I will show you how to do that. So next we are going to start with our red thread and our red pieces. So I'm just going to take our top piece here, which is the smaller of the plus signs, and we are going to center this nicely on here. And you're just going to go along and do a running stitch, which is in through the bottom, down through the top, and you're going to do that all the way along the edge of this red piece. And then that is the time to attach the poinsettia if you choose to attach it. So I'm just going to finish this up, and I will come back in a moment to show you the next step. Okay, we have finished stitching that on. So at this point, if you are going to attach your poinsettia to the top with sewing, you'll want to sew it on right now. So for that, you'll just come in through the bottom, and if you want, you can lift these red pieces out of the way and just go through the green, but just to attach that on. If you want to use the Velcro option, attach your Velcro now. We are going to be hiding most of these stitches with our white square. You will still see the stitches on the edge here. It's not a big deal for me, but if you want, you can take similar size rectangles just like our square and sew those on as well. But I'm going to show you how I just reinforce this little box. So I'm going to be placing this on nicely in the center, and we're just going to go around with our white thread, and I'm actually going to, I'll start in a corner. So actually I'll start in this corner here because I want to show you how we go about not showing our stitches through the red. So what you can do, hide your knot on the inside. You can go ahead and you can either do a running stitch until you get to the red piece and then do a whip stitch, just picking up this material without picking up the red, or you can just whip stitch all the way around, but be sure not to go through the red on the top so you don't see that on your finished product. But I think what I am going to do is I'm going to do a running stitch just because I want to give this the shape I'm looking for in the end. This little extra square just adds reinforcement to an extra weight to your finished box. So I'm going to whip stitch along here. Now while I'm doing that, if you've been liking these videos, guys, please give me a thumbs up below or leave a comment just to let me know how you've been liking them, if there's anything you'd like to see in the future. I do take requests, obviously not before Christmas at this point, but I can, if you do leave a request below, then I can make sure that I get on that pattern for the new year. So we're just going in through the top, and up through the bottom. And now that I am at that red part, I am going to start whip stitching. So just pick up the white bit and come through the square and just pick up the white bit. Make sure that your needle is not showing on the outside so that it doesn't show up through the red. And you're just going to continue to do this all the way along. Once I'm done these whip stitches, I'm probably going to continue with running stitch just when I'm not doing a red bit, just because I want it to be super reinforced. So I'm going to continue that, and I will see you in a moment. Okay, I have finished sewing our square on. As you can see, I did not pick up any of the red by whip stitching just these little pieces under the red here. So for the next step, you're just gonna do basically the same process with these two little red pieces, and then flip it over. And you won't have to worry about whip stitching this one. You can just do a running stitch all the way around, but just running stitch this white square on there. After you stitch these both on, just line them up with the very top, or sorry, outside corners, because that's going to be the top of our box. And I'm going to do both of those things, and I will come back and show you how we finish up. Alright, I have finished sewing the two red bits to the outside, and I've done the white square on the inside. So I'm going to show you, I'll show you just with one of them, and then you can go do the other 7 by yourself. But we're just going to be folding these all up. What you can do is hide your stitch underneath the corner here. And we're just going to fold these together. We're actually going to be whip stitching the outside, so you'll want to come up to the outside, fold these down together so the bottoms line up and it's a nice corner. What I do is I put my finger on the inside because I find that that helps us keep the shape. Try not to stab yourself, please. And then we're just going to do a whoops, without getting trapped on something, do a whip stitch right down to the bottom, and then you're going to tie off at the end. So just continue to whip stitch. And because we've put that extra white piece in the inside, it's given us kind of an easy guide, and definitely more weight to the finished product to make it a little bit easier to use as a box. So while I'm doing this, I'll tell you guys, I had originally planned to roll out crafting kits on my website with these cut pieces, but honestly, I'd like to know what you guys are looking for. Like I could be doing printable patterns as well, or instead of, I could be doing these SVG files for if you do have a Cricut cutting machine, then you can print them out at home yourself. I really just would like to know what you guys are looking for, so comment below whether you're interested in kits or patterns or just the raw files, but then I can tailor to everyone's needs, which I do enjoy doing. I think it's the years and years of customer service work that have just made it so that I'm a bit of a people pleaser, but I guess that works out for a YouTube tutorial channel because you guys get what you want and I get to try out new things. So let me know below what you would like to see in my shop. So now that we are down at the bottom corner, I'm just going to bring my stitch to the inside. Then we will be just grabbing a little bit of fabric there, and you can close that off, make your loop, pull the end through, do 3 loops around, and tie your knot. And then I'm going to cut my thread and I'm going to reknot this thread, and you're just going to come back and do that for each corner here and each corner here, same thing. And when we come back, we're going to have a finished product. Good job, guys. I'm glad you stuck with me this far. And I will see you in a second for the finished reveal. See you in a moment. And that is it for this video, guys. We have our finished little gift box. I think it turned out beautifully. I am very happy with it. This was my first time doing this project, so I'm really glad how it turned out. And if you have followed along for this whole video, I'm sure you're happy with yours as well. So thank you again from Felt Mercantile, and we will see you tomorrow for day 24, Christmas Eve. And if you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that alert button, and if you have any suggestions or comments for future videos, just let me know in the comments below. So thank you again. It's been a pleasure, and we will see you tomorrow, Christmas Eve. Bye, guys.